Hello again, we're back. Okay, so we're on the other side of page 5 now. We're still going to talk about least common multiples. We're just going to talk about a strategy to find the least common multiple. And this strategy is going to be one of your favorites that's come up over and over again, prime factorization. Using prime factorization to find the least common multiple. Okay, I'm coming. Hold on, peeps. Okay, we're back. I think. Yep. Okay, using prime factorization to find the least common multiple. And you thought, man, I didn't think I could love prime factorization anymore, and yet here we are. Okay, so when we are using a prime factorization, remember that we're finding the building blocks that make up the number. And so that's why we can use it to find the greatest common factor, and we can use it to find the least common multiple. So I am going to just start with an example right out of your book, because it's a little tricky, I'll be honest. Okay, so number 7 on page 35 says to find the LCM of 12 and 36. So here's how this goes. First of all, obviously, if we're using the prime factorization, we actually have to find the prime factorization. So if I do 12, 12, it can be 3 and 4. 3 is a prime number, but 4 is not. So I got to break that down. 2 and 2, and I'm all done. So the prime factorization is 2 times 2 times 3. Now I'm going to recommend that you don't write with exponents right away. So even though I can use exponents, I'm going to hold off on the exponents because in some ways they can make it trickier for this step. So make a note, hold off on exponents. Okay, just leave it with the repeated factors. And now here comes the other number. I'm going to switch colors. So 36, I have 3 and 12. 12 becomes 3 and 4. 4 becomes 2 and 2. And so my prime factorization is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And again, I'm going to hold off on exponents. Now the next step is to write them directly on top of each other. So I'm just going to take what I wrote here, and I'm going to move it over. Let's see, there's room. I'm just going to write it. Okay, so I have 2 times 2 times 3. Now, anything that shows up in both kind of smushes together. So we want to start by looking at what we have in common, similar to greatest common factor. So I see I have this 2 in common, this 2 in common, and this 3 in common. So if we were finding the greatest common factor, we would do 2 times 2 times 3. And that would be the greatest common factor. When we do the least common multiple, now we have to add on anything that did not get put in parentheses. When I said parentheses, I meant we didn't circle. If we didn't circle it, it has to be tacked onto the end. So what we're doing is we're keeping ourselves from double multiplying all the stuff that it would have in common. We're just taking all the stuff it would have in common, and then we're adding on whatever it didn't have in common. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12, 12 times 3 is 36, which means the least common multiple of 12 and 36 is 36. And maybe you said to yourself, Miss Funk, I kind of thought that was the answer before you even went because I knew that 36 was a multiple of 12. If so, good for you. I like to do examples where you, especially when we're starting, where you might know the answer another way because it supports you in figuring out if you know how to do this particular strategy. So we're going to try another one just because this one is going to be, we'll do number 10. All right, so this is, when I said page 35 up here, that was supposed to be 39. Oops-a-daisy. 39, number 10, asks us for the least common multiple of 10 and 12. So again, my strategy is that I'm using prime factorization, so I've got to start by doing the prime factorization of 10 and 12. So I'll start with 10 is 2 times 5, both prime. So I'm done there. And 12 is 2 times 6. 6 is 2 times 3. Prime factorization is 2 times 2 times 3. So once again, I'm going to write them directly on top of each other. I'm going to look for anything they have in common. So I notice that there's a 2 in both of them. So I put that down as the start of figuring out the least common multiple. Again, if we were doing the greatest common factor, this right here is the greatest common factor. Boom, done. But for least common multiple, now we need to add on anything that we didn't already tuck in there. So we need to add a times 2, a times 3, and a times 5. Because those numbers did not get picked up. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 5 is 60. So the least common multiple of 10 and 12 is 60. The good news is that now that you have 2 strategies for least common multiple, you can use one to double check the other if you're not sure you got the right answer. So you are now going to finish the rest of page 39, and I wish you good luck, but you won't need it.